There's something peculiar about these two, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, for one thing, they're two-dimensional.
Come on, Johnny. All celebrities are two-dimensional.
It was like a political version of Celebrity Deathmatch, only instead of claymation, it was two conservative titans going head-to-head in real time. Tucker Carlson, the former Fox News heavyweight known for his brutal takedowns and sharp-tongued skepticism, went full throttle on Senator Ted Cruz in a fiery interview that left Cruz visibly rattled. What started as a debate over Iran quickly turned into a televised humiliation, as Carlson grilled the Texas senator with basic questions about the very country Cruz wants to attack, questions he couldn't answer. Tucker's opening salvo.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump.
The viral moment that lit up social media and cable news came early in the interview. Tucker Carlson didn't start with an opinion. He started with a fact check in the form of a basic question. Quote, how many people live in Iran? Ted Cruz looked momentarily stunned, then shrugged and admitted, I don't know the population. It was a stunning admission for a lawmaker calling for regime change in one of the most strategically significant countries in the Middle East. Carlson pounced, asking, quote, you don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? This wasn't just a gotcha moment, it was a carefully calibrated trap. Carlson knew Cruz wouldn't have demographic details at the ready, but that was the point. He wanted to underscore just how casually some U.S. politicians advocate for foreign intervention without even the most basic understanding of the region in question. When Cruz brushed off the quiz as cute, Carlson reminded him that Iran's population of around 90 million people was more than a statistic. It represented the massive human cost of the kind of conflict Cruz was advocating. Cruz's defense that he doesn't, quote, sit around memorizing population tables only deepened the embarrassment. Viewers weren't watching a statesman with deep geopolitical knowledge, they were watching a seasoned senator flail in real time. Carlson's response emphasized how this kind of ignorance has historically led to disastrous foreign policy. The shadow of the Iraq War loomed large in the subtext, reminding audiences that bad intel and superficial understandings can pave the way to catastrophic military entanglements. By framing the question around population, Carlson cleverly shifted the conversation from theory to reality. It wasn't about abstract policy anymore, it was about the real-life implications of Cruz's hawkish rhetoric. Iran, Israel, and the AIPAC factor.
I'm only trying to get to the question of what AIPAC is, and I don't think you're being straightforward about it. AIPAC is lobbying on behalf of the interests of a foreign country, and they're not registered. And you're saying, no, that's not true. You're saying that they don't coordinate with the Israeli government.
Of course, I coordinate. Do they talk with them? I don't know what they do. I can tell you.
But why don't you care? Isn't it meaningful if a foreign government...
Hey, I talk with Israel all the time. I talk with foreign countries all the time.
But the law is, and a lot of people have been prosecuted under this law, that if you are lobbying on behalf of foreign government, you must register. That's it. It's really simple. And I don't know why, if I'm working for Malaysia or Qatar or Belgium, and I'm working on behalf of its government's interests through a group of Americans who are representing the friendship between those two nations, I have to register under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and if I don't, I can go to jail. And people have gone to jail, including people I know. So I don't understand why we don't just be honest and say they're lobbying on behalf of a foreign government, they're coordinating with the government. You know that that's true.
The interview didn't just expose Cruz's ignorance, it called into question the motivations behind his foreign policy positions. Carlson zeroed in on Cruz's relationship with AIPAC, the powerful pro-Israel lobbying group that frequently funds American lawmakers. When Carlson asked if Cruz had ever taken money from Israel, Cruz didn't deny it. Instead, he openly admitted, quote, AIPAC raises a lot of money for me. Carlson's retort, quote, I've never taken money from Israel, have you? Cut to the heart of the criticism. anti-Semitism. Carlson wasn't merely interested in foreign policy, he was pulling back the curtain on the intersection between campaign donations and U.S. military interests. The suggestion was clear. Cruz's unwavering support for Israel, and by extension his support for bombing Iran, might have more to do with donor expectations than actual strategy. The subtext challenged not just Cruz, but the broader political ecosystem in which lobbying and legislation are often tightly intertwined. Cruz lashed back by accusing Carlson of being obsessed with Israel, even implying anti-Semitism. Quote, "You're asking why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy," he said. Carlson immediately denied the charge and shot back. "That does not make me an anti-Semite, and shame on you for suggesting otherwise." The exchange revealed a rhetorical tactic often used when uncomfortable questions arise, pivoting from critique to condemnation. This part of the conversation raised broader questions about how foreign lobbies influence American decisions about war and peace. Nukes, fearmongering, and logical gaps.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us, and I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that, and
by the way,
I'm not mad at them. But you're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know. Hold on, I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion.
I said guiding, the overwhelming. I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it.
After challenging Cruz on his funding sources and factual knowledge, Carlson turned to what might be the most explosive part of Cruz's rhetoric, the idea that Iran poses the most urgent nuclear threat to the United States. Cruz had recently claimed that Iran was the most acute threat the country faces, warning of potential nuclear attacks on New York City or Los Angeles. Carlson wasn't having it. He bluntly pointed out that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, and even if it did, deterrence theory still applies. Carlson highlighted how absurd it was to claim Iran is more dangerous than nations like Russia, China, or North Korea, all of which actually possess nuclear arsenals. He suggested that Cruz was relying on fear rather than fact, using scary hypotheticals to justify aggressive interventionist policies. It wasn't the first time a politician had waved the mushroom cloud as a justification for war, but Carlson was one of the few on the right calling it out. The question that brought the House down came when Carlson asked Cruz to explain why, if Iran was such an immediate threat, he wasn't advocating for military action right now. Cruz was caught off guard and tried to change the subject, insisting that Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump. Carlson replied with disbelief, saying, quote, "I'm disputing it." That sent Cruz into a tirade that included moon landing references and 9/11 conspiracies, painting Carlson as some kind of fringe theorist. But the damage was already done. By exposing the logical inconsistencies in Cruz's own arguments, claiming Iran was an existential threat but offering no concrete plan of action, Carlson made Cruz look like someone selling fear without solutions. Ukraine, Russia, and Carlson's grudge match.
I don't get why you're so passionate about defending Russia.
Actually, I was defending Western Europe, the home of my ancestors, and that, tripling their energy costs and destroying their industrial base. Not like. You just accused me of being an anti-Semite, an isolationist, and a Russia lackey. I've not called you a neocon once, which you are. But I haven't said that.
That's absurd. Those neocons that oppose the Iraq war.
Right.
But like that's
okay. But I haven't called you that because name calling.
You just said which you are. You just called that.
Okay.
Called me that. You just did.
I guess what I'm saying is you're triggered because I use name calling. I get it. I was triggered when you called me names, and I'm triggered once again that you're calling me a Russia defender when in fact I'm defending Western Europe. And I don't think that you.
Do you think Putin's our enemy?
Well, he's literally our enemy. You are funding a war against him.
But do you think he is our... No, you're saying we're his enemy. Do you think Putin is our enemy?
I think it is a tragedy that your policies, specifically yours, helped drive Putin into the arms of China, forming a bloc that's larger than us.
So you won't answer that question?
I don't he is literally our enemy right now.
The humiliation didn't stop at Iran. Carlson expanded the conversation to include Cruz's support for Ukraine and his hawkish stance on Russia. Quote, "You've been spending the last 3 years telling us that Vladimir Putin is evil and we're going to beat him with other people's children," Carlson said, accusing Cruz of advocating war from a safe distance. This line drew blood. Cruz snapped back, quote, "The number of falsehoods you lay out in one sentence is rather astonishing." Carlson didn't back down. He demanded that Cruz apologize for supporting a war that has dragged on with no clear end in sight. Cruz, visibly agitated, refused. He fired back, quote, "I'm not going to engage in the demanding of apologies," scoffing at the request. But the damage was visual and visceral. Carlson was calm, focused, and relentless. Cruz looked tired, defensive, and emotionally cornered. The exchange revealed a lot about the changing dynamics on the political right. Carlson has built his brand on opposition to U.S. involvement in foreign wars, while Cruz has consistently backed interventionist policies. Carlson's framing of Cruz as a warmonger, insulated by political privilege, struck a chord with many conservatives who have grown weary of endless overseas conflicts. Cruz's attempt to pivot by accusing Carlson of being too soft on Russia, even referencing Carlson's trip to a Moscow grocery store and mocking it as a promo video for Russia. But Carlson brushed it off, returning once again to the central theme. Who benefits from these wars, and why are American politicians so eager to start them? Cruz's meltdown and the aftermath.
I will say on foreign policy, Tucker has gone back crap crazy. He's gone off the rails. He is suddenly a hardcore isolationist. And so he asked about a month ago, hey, I'd like to come interview. And I knew he was coming in to interview me, and it was not going to be pleasant. He disagrees with me on foreign policy. So we were going to have a rough and tumble fight. We agreed to this interview a month ago.
By the end of the nearly 2-hour interview, Cruz had resorted to damage control. He quickly released podcast episodes and social media posts attempting to reframe the exchange. On his Verdict podcast, Cruz accused Carlson of editing the viral clip unfairly, calling it a gotcha moment. But by then, the clip had already gone viral. The public wasn't talking about the full interview. They were sharing the moment where Carlson asked basic questions and Cruz had no answers. Cruz's follow-up posts attacked Carlson personally. He called him bat crap crazy, accusing him of running interference for Trump's enemies, and said Carlson's foreign policy resembled Jimmy Carter's. He insinuated Carlson was defending terrorists by disputing the assassination plot claims against Iran. But the tone of these attacks made Cruz appear desperate, not composed. Carlson, meanwhile, seemed content to let the footage speak for itself. He didn't need to defend his approach. The footage showed exactly what he wanted it to: a lawmaker flailing in response to basic questions. Carlson didn't yell or rant. He simply asked pointed questions and let Cruz unravel on his own. That restraint only made the spectacle more damaging for Cruz. Perhaps the most telling moment came when Cruz's own allies began to amplify the clips. The Senate Republican Conference shared posts that attempted to ding Carlson, a sign that Cruz's team wasn't alone in feeling the sting. The broader GOP establishment seemed to recognize that Carlson's influence was once again a threat, not just to Democrats, but to their own ranks. Carlson had embarrassed Cruz, yes, but he also had reminded the world that he remains a force to be reckoned with on the right. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Tucker Carlson was right to put Ted Cruz on the spot over Iran? Let us know in the comments section below.